Welcome to Are We the Only Ones? I'm Kathy, and today I have Dr. Vandana Arcot, and we are going to talk about periods.
Yay! It's about bloody time.
Yes.
Anyway, no, periods is probably my most requested topic to speak to. Um, in any world stage across genders to any audience. I think that is, for most people, they believe that periods is where reproductive health starts, and they continuously ask for people to come and talk to the kids about reproductive health, and menstrual health specifically. And this starts as late as 18 when Mhm.
Well,
when girls are very, very, very familiar with what periods already are. I think most often it comes up in the context of preventing unwanted pregnancies.
pregnancy? Yeah.
Yeah, or early age pregnancies. But in the vulnerable populations that I have worked with, I don't think that's an issue. I think it's more about understanding how to take care of yourself and understanding what products are available for them to use and what resources are there for them to use and how it could negatively impact their um, future.
Yeah.
That's where it comes in.
So do you think that it would have to do with lack of funding? Is it cultural? Is it not having more female leadership?
I
Does it
don't think
start
it's
with more
any.
female leadership?
So
Changing?
I'll tell you something very interesting about periods. I think it is one aspect of reproductive health that transgresses education, women's health, mental health, pregnancy, that is mother, infant, child nutrition, climate change, and water, sanitation, and hygiene. It's probably
Mm,
the only one that transgresses this many of our development goals. It affects 50% of the population, technically. And we still have taxes, we still have inability to use clean water. We still have lack of toilets. We still have schools rethinking decisions about teaching reproductive health or providing menstrual pads, or facilities
mm.
for the girls in the school to actually change pads. Um, we Did you know that in Nepal and I think Malaysia, the school governments decided to hand out free menstrual products, and their
Okay.
attendance actually rose, which meant that there were less likely more female dropout. There were less female dropouts in higher secondary education, which meant there was a higher graduation rate, and that in turn led to more women in the workforce, more qualified women in the workforce. Let's put it that way.
You think about it when you break it down, it makes perfect sense because
Yeah.
if you don't have money for pads and sanitary napkins or whatever, then if you can go to school and it's provided for you, it's just like free lunch or free breakfast, right?
Mhm.
If you can
Mhm.
go and they're providing it, then you're not being sort of like gate kept out of the
But yeah,
school because you have it there. Like even
yeah,
if you had a few at home, maybe you didn't have enough, so that you'd have to just stay at home so you could wash yourself as opposed to being at school. But at
yeah.
school, if you have it provided and it's free, there's also like no need to ask your parents to get it, no need to be embarrassed. Let's say you have a a very dominant male household, maybe you can't even talk about it, maybe you can't even go like, I don't know how some people get very triggered, but even now, I have friends
Oh
here in
god.
America that
Yeah.
like, carry their when they come to my house, they will carry their things with them and leave, and I'm like, I have trash cans." Like, I literally don't care. "No, no, no, no," and they bring their own bag, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm a feminist. I don't care," and they take their stuff with them, and I'm like, and so I can only imagine this stuff. This America with my own
It
friends, so I can
is real.
imagine.
Like the pressure on us is real. I'll tell you that much. I remember having to console a little girl because she thought she was going to die when she started her periods. She had
I mean, that
no
makes
clue
sense.
why she was bleeding, right? And she just bled and bled for 5 days, and she was like, "How do I use like?" There were times when I've had to teach women how to use sanitary pads, and I'm not talking 13-year-olds. I am talking grown-up 20-year-old women, um, how to use sanitary pads because they have never used one. Okay, growing up, what we born in the 80s and the 90s have
Mhm.
the pleasure of um using a variety of objects as sanitary pads. What was your transition from? Um, what did you start from and where are you at?
So for me, it was interesting because I had gotten sex education in second grade in public school,
Mhm,
which I thought was very effective because when you're in second grade, you're not like sexual. So it's very
mhm,
scientific. And we all just, I remember very clearly like looking at the models and everything with the fetus coming out and everything. I was like, this is so cool. Just being so educated in second grade, nothing gross. Then we learned again in fifth grade. I went to Catholic school. And then we had it in, I believe it was fifth grade or sixth grade, something like that. Now we're going through puberty. The conversations are much different. And um, that I remember being I remember specifically raising my hand and asking if I took a pregnancy test now, would that tell me in the future if that meant that I would be pregnant? And I didn't get a clear answer. And then I remember also asking, somebody had said something about like how either a story or something about like somebody getting pregnant, but the husband was overseas. And so,
mhm,
like, how did that happen? And like, remember, I'm in Catholic school. So we weren't taught by nun. I had a nun in one class, and then the other class was the lay teacher. The lay teacher was the one that taught us sex ed. Okay. Um, she said that it swam over the ocean and got the mom pregnant. So we, for a long time, and also I realized also like with natural family planning, the way that they teach you when you're a Catholic and then you go and actually get married in the church, they send you to natural family planning classes too. So as adults, okay. But they
right.
teach you the wrong because natural family planning, they want you to do it without any contraception.
Mhm,
So that's like you're supposed to time it. And of course, like you guys how dangerous that can be. Then I didn't realize until I went to actual like getting pregnant and went to my actual OB
mhm,
at New York Weill Cornell that everything that I had learned was wrong. And so that's the foundation of what I know. And then my actual period experience is I was in gymnastics. So I remember starting my period at 14. I had a one period and then I never had it again for another 4 years. And because I was in gymnastics, my body fat was very low. So I think that affected why I was able to not have another period for a long time. I was in club and in high school competitive gymnastics.
mhm,
So I was like training like 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. And then I remember being very proud of myself because I had I think at the school, they must have had like something where we could get like a machine or something that I must have just seen it. I knew right away. I went and got a pad, put it on, and I was proud of myself that I had done that and just knew what to do. Then I didn't have to worry about it again. And I remember one time we were talking in a gymnastics competition, and one of our classmates, he was a guy who was actually a really popular guy, he was a really good friend of mine, was also dating one of my teammates. He's the one that actually ended up explaining to me how to use a tampon.
oh,
And so I didn't understand how because in gymnastics everybody's using tampons, and I hadn't lost my virginity yet. So I was like, every time I try to use this tampon, it won't go in. Like I don't understand. It hurts, guys. Like I don't. And everybody starts laughing. I didn't understand what was going on. They're like, you got to break your hymen. I was like, what? And we're all talking about this. Literally, like we're watching, we're competing. We're like watching, we're waiting, we're like sitting there talking. We're like, wait, what? And everybody's cracking up because like, how do you think like when you have your period and you're in the competition leotard, you're on the beam, you wear a pad? And I was like, yeah. And so they're trying to like teach me. And it was like when they were cracking up, they're like, I can't believe that this boy is teaching you how to use a tampon. And he's not gay, he's straight. It was just like the funniest thing. It was like, what is going on here? And it was like just kind of a reflective of how we didn't learn anything from the school in terms of that. So we had to peer learn, you understand? And so peer learning is extremely important, even though
Yeah.
you don't think like it should be like that. But it's like, it's one of those things where you just never know where you're going to get the information from. And in my
Yeah, no, that
case,
is
it was
so
just
interesting.
strange.
That is so
And that's a
interesting.
first world country, right? Like I should have been able, not, I didn't have to talk about it with my mom. I don't think like we never really I don't
You didn't
ever
have the
recall this discussion.
conversation.
No, I remember that when right before my wedding, I think I joked around with my mom. Like, so are we gonna have to talk? Are you gonna tell me about the birds and the bees? She's like, get out of here. Didn't they teach you about at school? Get out of here. Get out of here. So we actually never even had the
That's very
conversation, she and I.
cultural. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
very cultural, that looks like, right? For you. For us, in India, we actually have a coming of age ceremony for girls, where everyone comes and blesses the girl and stuff like that. But we also have this tradition of not. I mean, in some places, especially in my grandmother's house, we couldn't sit on furniture, um, or the generation before that, and I'm sure it still happens in some parts across Asia. We actually cannot enter the kitchen and do any of the daily cooking. We have a separate space. It used to be outside the house. Now it is within the house. A lot of Indian movies have touched upon the notion of periods and how normal it is, but
Mhm.
I don't think anyone truly understands the pressure
Yep.
of working in Indian of working in, like, just day to day work that goes on around hiding it, not naming it, averting shame from it.
Yeah.
Um, because, there are more women in the workplace right now. And to be honest, when I worked in, what was the movie about the NASA scientists, the black women who
Hidden
held.
Figures.
Thank you. So in that, you remember how she walks across the buildings to go
To go to the
access
bathroom.
the bathroom?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is
Just like
literally
that.
like that. There are no bathrooms in workplaces that actually have menstrual products. And even if they are very few and not commonly restacked. So, you have to really do your research. And sometimes that actually helps in getting good female workforce, because the more you invest in notions like this, the more they tend to get attracted to companies that offer women an actual place at the table. But I digress. So I have used everything from a sanitary napkin, but also I think when I first had my period, I was about 13 years old. And at that time, I still remember my grandmother used to use recycled saris just stitched together, and
Mm.
that was her pad. My mother was an OBGYN, so we had access to menstrual products. And we went with that. But I have seen we also had relatives of ours who grew up in the villages, and they would use coconut husk.
Mm. That cannot feel very comfortable. That's kind of itchy, sweaty. You get probably like infections and
Yeah.
rashes and all kinds of
Yeah.
problems.
But that is extremely common
Oh,
because they have no access to menstrual products. Um, there was that. Then there were I've had friends who have had to roll up cotton in between fleece
yeah,
cloth or
yeah.
cotton cloth,
Hmm.
depending on what the weather was like.
Hmm.
Um, I've had, obviously the sticky pads, then came the tampons. And now we have this whole thing of reusable underwear.
Yes, I
And for
use
me,
those.
yeah, and I use those too. But for me, it is it's like a full circle moment.
Yeah, I mean, before you even said that, I was thinking, God, could we get like those underwear to those women? Could we get some kind of like fundraiser where we like raise money to buy those
I
underwear
think
and
they
send
do
it to
that.
those women?
I think they do that. Today is Giving Tuesday, and I think Things is doing something like that.
Good.
So there are, but they are very few and very far between, and I don't think they have the support that the women who truly need it have. But also the thing with reusable underwear is that you need to be able to wash it
I
properly.
know. So then you'd have to really be, it's better off for like the Depends, the ones that are disposable. Like, always makes a good disposable one that looks more
And
like
that
underwear.
and
It's like
that affects
thinner.
climate because it can't be disposed of. So do you see how
Well, do you incinerate your trash? In Japan, they incinerate their trash. Is that
they
something you
do
guys do in India?
incinerate it? They do incinerate it, but in that's in Japan. When places like India, it's just going to soak up landfills and
Okay.
create, more blockages in bigger sewer systems and things like that. And I think that's true for across Asia, to be honest.
Okay.
They in I know that in parts of Africa, um, they use reusable underwear, but they
Yeah.
also lack hygiene
Mm,
and they lack access to clean water.
mhm.
So it comes back to be a risk rather than something that's supposed to be good for the environment.
So my
Um,
crazy brain is thinking, you know what we need? We need a biodegradable, disposable underwear. And that I don't know if this is in my brain. I'm like, is this something that we could then put into crops as like almost a fertilizer? Could Menses work as a good fertilizer in crops? So if you take biodegradable underwear, turn it into that, you use it and then you bury it and it turns into, do you see what I'm saying? Is that
we are
weird?
patenting this.
My brain is crazy, right? Am I weird?
No, you're not. No, you're not. I'm sure there are climate scientists thinking of them, something like this. But again, Peter blood could be actually used as fertilizer. Come to think of it, it's one of the
I
purest forms. And then you have
I
the
think it smells
cups.
better than manure. Think about it. I had to
Yeah.
walk through an entire mall full of manure fertilizer, and I was like, I can't shop like this for Black Friday
Why were
weekend.
you
Like this,
walking in a mall
no,
with
because it's a
manure?
beautiful mall. And I was just like, let's go walk. We had, it's so weird to have 4 days for us straight
Mhm.
through. I'm like, this is actually the longest holiday because it's like the whole country is 4 days straight. So I was like, well, let's go to the mall. We haven't done that in a while. And I just like, why does it smell so bad? It's like, oh, it's manure. And it's just in the air. And I was thinking, God, I wish they would spray like some kind of nice odorizer so that we're not walking through this. And now as we're talking about it, I think, let's be honest, that smell is better than
And manure.
manure. Let's keep it really real. Men might be freaked out about it, but that would actually, this is weird, but truly that would normalize men's everywhere. Because if you're using it, it's like not a big deal. It's whatever. It's not like super gross. Now it's like a superfood for plants,
Yeah,
right? Like I'm just telling you, I think that that might be because maybe men are always sort of the leaders in science funding. They don't think about things like that, where they're not thinking about menses in different ways because they don't have it to think about.
they don't.
You see what I'm
I mean,
saying?
yeah, it's one less thing for them to think about, but then it's one extra business opportunity. Let's put it that way.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Okay. Just have to know how to pitch it, right? You just have to know how to like get those people, get them to the water.
Did you talking about menstrual blood? Did you know that menstrual blood is probably the most positive indicator of what's happening in your body even
Makes
before your
sense.
body actually knows it. There's this kit that recently came out where we could collect our menstrual blood and then test it for, I think, cervical cancer, PCOS, things like that.
That's
um
amazing.
yeah, and it was invented by women.
Because I
So
like that because it seems more private. Like if I could just collect it myself and send it to a lab, I don't have to go to a doctor. I've had a couple bad experiences when I was doing military healthcare, and my only choice, military
I don't
healthcare,
think you were
you
the
can,
only one, to be honest.
yeah, like I don't, you only get to choose, right? And so all of a sudden I have a general practitioner telling me I have to get a PAP, and I'm like, why? And like he makes me get a PAP, and oh no, he's never done this before. Based on the way he's doing it, he's never done before, and it's so painful. And so then I realized after that, only going to women. But if I could collect at home and then send it myself and get all the results totally privately, that
Mhm.
would be by far the best way to do it. And
Hmm.
also, like, if you have a daughter and you want to, do it with her and learn everything, it's just a private thing that, like, even a mother daughter can share, and you don't have to have everybody involved and
Hmm.
make an appointment. There's that extra lead time to get an appointment, see if, like, they have the payment billing system set up for your insurance, like all that stuff.
Does the insurance cover it? Of course it does. Um, but yeah, it should. It
I
technically
would
should.
love, I mean, who who could we, like, I feel like that I'm, like, thinking Elizabeth, remember how Theranos, like, that's what Theranos should have done,
I don't.
right? Like, some people have the first
Okay.
concept, but then they can't execute all the way through.
Okay, we are either supporting women-led sustainable enterprises that make periods normal and powerful with nothing to hide,
Yes.
kind of scenarios, or
Yeah.
we are seriously investing in something like that. So if anyone is watching this podcast and you have anything interesting to say, please call us.
Yeah, because we can actually make this happen. We can actually connect people to make this no, that's the difference with this podcast. We can actually connect people
We
to
can
actually
actually
make
do
the
things about
ideas. Yeah, like, that's the difference. Not just, like, theoretical, let's talk about it. "Oh, I think they do this and that." It's like, "No, no, no,
Let's
people."
do it. Let's
Like,
do it, people.
we have
You have an
connections.
idea, let's do it. We're not Shark Tank.
Yeah, yeah, we're not gonna be, yeah, we're not, like, predatory too. We're trying, we want the greater good to happen here, so
I
that's
know.
that's also a different mentality too, so different than what's going on,
Isn't
where
that it's
everything's
like
about profit.
basic dignity? It's basic dignity that has
But
to be
we've
afforded to all women.
but,
Why
I
are
have
we shaming them and making it about safe spaces to talk about periods and having poverty come in and then inspecting periods through gender lenses? It is everyone goes through it. Like,
well, the other thing I think is, like, we also have to do, as much as we say we're non-binary now and we're, like, more
mhm.
progressive on, like, we kinda aren't, because we still expect people to have to, like, determine something instead of just saying, "It's really whatever you wanna do, whenever you wanna do it, you can do whatever. I don't really care." You know what I mean? But if you
Yeah,
need period health, if you're trans and you need period stuff, you still need period stuff, you should have access to period stuff. One of the weirdest things that I noticed different, like, when you go to any public, restroom, there's, like, a companion restroom or any public restroom where you need to get, um, like, they should, I know this is strange, but you realize they should have these machines where you have sanitary napkins and tampons in men's rooms now. They should have them in there.
yeah.
You understand
Or
what I'm
they
saying?
could just have family restrooms and have it available to all.
Yeah,
Um,
but this is the problem. Like, I went to Stanford Mall, and they
yeah,
used to have a lot of, like, it was like 10 stalls for men, 10 stalls for women. Then we went into, I guess, changing it so that, you could have, everything was like unisex. But what happened was I went from having two male, female, a lot of stalls to one stall, a large one for, and there was a urinal and a toilet. But now all of us are waiting. And I was like, that's not the solution. We want more options, not less. Like, this is how you guys decided to fix this problem. I was like, I know a man did this because this is, like, ridiculous. To limit, I was like, who does that? Because you need more people who want to change diapers. You want to be able to go access in and out to, like, there's all kinds of things that people didn't think about by making it at only one restroom that fit everybody. So if you're going to do family size restrooms, I need, like, a lot of family restrooms. You have to have like five of them. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You have to have a lot of them because people, you don't want people peeing their pants while they're waiting. That's really the ultimate thing,
that
like,
actually happens. That actually happens more frequently than people realize, especially women. Um,
especially women that have given birth, they can't hold it that long.
yes,
I'm
yes,
telling you, I'm speaking firsthand.
me too. Me too. I don't think there was. I'm just thinking in my head about all the first experience I had with periods after I delivered my child. You know how this weird 6 month period where we
Yeah,
don't have periods, and it's just so nice.
yeah.
It's so nice, and then once suddenly it just starts flowing, and then it keeps flowing.
But then at
I
the same time, it's like I actually didn't have a normal period until I had my pregnancies. So because of my gymnastics background, I had a period every 52 days
Wow.
until, and then every other one was normal. and every other one was like spotting 3 days. Then got pregnant. After that, it went to 28 days. So like 35
It kind of
years.
reset.
I guess. I mean, it was like, wait, so I was 15 when so 20 years, I'd never had a normal period. And then finally,
There are
after
so many
35.
reasons for that, though. There's so many reasons for that. We'll talk about that. I mean, I'm not gonna discuss clinical stuff here,
Oh.
but
But like I started
were
tracking it.
you
I got
were
to
you
learn.
when you did not have your periods every month, did you ever feel pressure to get periods every month? Like, were you told that this is
No, I
not
was glad. I was
yeah.
just glad. I was like, it's one less thing I don't have to deal with it as bad as everyone else. I'm going every 6 weeks essentially.
Mm,
But then when you're trying to get pregnant, then it's weird. Then you got
mm.
to figure it out. So then I got on my favorite one was Fertility Friend, tracked it, everything so on point. And that was really cool to learn about my body. But I thought it was funny that I'm 35 and for the first time
You're
I'm
learning
learning
about
about my body.
yourself. Oh,
So
well.
that was weird. But that was also my fault because I didn't want to go to an OB. My mom asked me to go to an OB, I think when I was 13. I was like, I don't need that. I don't need that. And so it took me, I think when we went to the Navy, or yeah, my first time I had my husband was in the Navy, and we had to do like some kind of first physical or whatever when you're in the military, and then the spouse gets this assurance, so then you have to go for your checkups, and then I'm learning about all that stuff like then for the first time. So it was kind of weird how I let it go. I finally like have to go to an OB. They're like, you need to go to a PEP. You have to finally. I'm like, oh, never had one. It's like 20 something years. You know?
I'm glad that you did have the health and the support to go through it, though. I
Yeah,
really am. Because
but you
not
just
all
don't.
women that is privilege, to be honest. That is privilege. And not all women have that opportunity to do it.
Yeah, but the weird thing is in America, because we're so not used to having insurance as a right. I even when I have my insurance, I don't like think to go use it. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I have it and I forget to go. I'm so accustomed to not having access to when I was growing up, we only had like the health insurance that was just for hospital access. So I
Okay.
never went, everything was like out of pocket. So we just didn't really go. And I was luckily healthy all the time, never had any problems. And so not until we were in the military, then I have to go for like we were going to Japan. Now I have to get all these shots and vaccinations because we're in Japan and there's like laws that say like we're not gonna just send you over there without that. So then all of a sudden have to get a full medical everything. And it's like the first time in my life that I'm getting everything done. And so when I lived in New York and then the kids were born, I was good about getting all their stuff for some reason, even though it was really hard to get there, because like taking subway, all that stuff. But when I go back to California, I'm not good at it anymore. And there's some association with me being in California that I just let it just like fall apart. But in New York, I was on point with everything, all the schedules and everything, referral appointments to get blood work, all that. I would do all that stuff here. I'm like, oh, I forgot. They told me to give a referral for blood. I totally forgot about it.
Okay.
Sorry, can you give me another
Probably
referral?
prioritize your health.
Like,
Now, Kathy, this is a reminder. Go prioritize your health.
yeah, I know I
It
have
is
to,
a serious reminder. Now, do it because you're in your 40s, your body changes, you're probably perimenopausal,
yeah, 47. Definitely
and
think I'm
yeah,
going into perimenopause. I'm
yeah.
excited about it though. I'm not like upset that I'm like looking forward to it because it feels like to me, like, I don't know. I look at these
It
like
has its
warrior moments,
benefits, it has its
but it's
cons.
like being a woman is such a specific experience. And
Yeah.
like, this is being a woman. You know what I mean? Like, going through menopause is like a benchmark of almost like a rite of passage. And I don't want to look at it like it's a negative thing. I'm embracing it and like, the same way that when I was going through depression from my losses, when I had my pregnancy losses, my first and my third, when depression came, I was like, I looked at like she was my friend coming to town. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, she's coming to
Mhm.
town. Now what's going to happen? We're going to watch a lot of movies. We're going to eat a lot of ice cream. And like, I was just thinking like that. Like, I literally thought of it like that. And then when she leaves after 3 months, it's like generally how I remember, like, it was like something about 3 months because of my first one, that it was like 3 months before my due date. So then I gave myself 3 months. So then I just started thinking 3 months, 3 months. So it's some kind of weird, like, I think that's how I frame it now. So like menopause, I'm thinking is like depression's friend, or
Welcome.
her sister is coming to visit me,
Welcome.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
come, my
they
friend,
have to come in.
right?
I would rather experience that than have other problems. But, um, how are so growing up, how are the male relationships with menstruation? Like, what did your father say?
Oh, so one time I had my period and it was in my underwear, and I washed it in the sink and I left it. It was in my parents' bathroom sink because for whatever reason, we liked using their bathroom more. And my dad came in, I guess he freaked out, and then my mom had to come tell me, don't ever do that. Don't ever put your period underwear washed in the sink soaking in there. Your dad cannot see that. And that was the only time I had heard anything like that. And
Okay,
so then I knew, okay, I got it. And I was like, that's fair. I was like,
that's fair. Did you have brothers growing up?
no. Oh yes, not until 12 years later. So my brother, I was 12 when my brother was born. So then my brother to me was like a baby that like almost like
Okay.
my own baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So different vibe. But
Yeah.
he looks at it like he's very feminine. He's a feminist. You know, my brother is totally
Mhm.
like not, I don't think he's freaked out by period. He's used to seeing periods in the trash and like stuff like that from growing up, you know? I think the other question is like, how do people wrap their periods? Like, are you a household that just
Mhm.
throws it in the trash? Or are you a
Yeah,
household
that
that like
was my
wraps everything in
question.
toilet
That was
paper?
my question to you. That was my next question to you because I I remember growing up in a joint family in India, right? All my cousins went to the same school, so we basically hung out at my grandmother's. Um, and while our home was in the same building, a lot of them did not necessarily live with us. So it was, I don't know, we were like 10 children between, the ages of 14 and 10,
Okay.
probably. Some of them boys, some of them girls. And for us growing up, I think period was just one of the it was almost naturally it was normalized because we all had seen our mothers, and my brothers had obviously seen us, and they wanted to understand what was happening to us. And I think my mom just explained it to my brother. I don't even remember it being a thing. Like I know for sure that when my husband was um probably like a teenager, um I think his mom ran out of sanitary napkins, so she would send him to the pharmacy to
Mm,
bring sanitary napkins home. And I think that was normal. I think a lot of us growing up did that for our mothers, our sisters, whatever. It used to be wrapped in a black bag for some reason.
yeah.
Like
I remember people always putting it in a brown bag and
highlighted,
they're ashamed of it. Or when I buy,
highlighted.
even now, if I go
Yeah.
to CVS, they're like, do you want a bag? I go, no, I don't care. And I
No,
walk in, everybody's
you just
like,
carry out.
I don't care. I'm also
Just
trying to make a
carry out.
statement. I'm
Yeah,
purposely making a statement.
I don't even
There's no
understand
shame
what
in having a
that
period.
exactly. There is no statement there to be made. Like, why is there shame around it? Like, I just don't understand it. Um, but wrapping it up, the thing that used to come with it, I don't know, it would inevitably get lost. So we would actually have a stack of our old newspapers right outside, the bathroom.
That's smart,
And
actually.
we would just take that, wrap it up, and throw it into a very specific dustbin,
Yeah.
that was not used and that was not meant for anything else except this. And we would have to throw it out. But since there were so many girls and we would all sync our cycles, it was
Totally right. So funny. I don't know if men even realize that that's like a thing.
yeah, I
You know
think
what
they
I mean?
know
Like
it's
that's
a
like
thing. I don't know how it works in polyamorous households. That would be interesting.
polyamorous household. Oh my God. There was a woman once that tried to hit on me who was polyamorous, trying to convince me. I was a Tory Burch Foundation mentoring session, and this woman just basically was like, "Have you ever considered doing poly?" Just asking across the room like questions, like we're doing question Q&A, and then she like asks me if I've ever considered doing polyamorous relationship. I'm like, "No, I'm happily married. I'm monogamous." She goes, "Yes, but," and then tries to convince me. And so I thought that was really funny because it always seems like also in the military, like there's swingers is a thing,
Mhm.
and we always find that people that are like that are always trying to convince you to do it, even though you're like, "No, I'm good," but they just feel like you got to be convinced. So it's very interesting. Like in a polyamorous household, I'm sure it's very open, and they probably do sync up, and they probably all pick. They probably the guys probably go buy their things for them, you know what I mean? And, like, no problem
Thank
because 'cause they're
God
so
for
open and
Amazon.
polyamorous. You know,
Yeah.
it's so open. You just have no boundary that it's like not no boundary, but it's very open boundary, and I'm sure they don't care about menses. Does nothing,
Yeah.
you know? It would be more like,
It'll be interesting to hear from
Catholic
them.
households, like, very religious places. That's where I would wonder Orthodox, I don't know how, like, hardcore Orthodox religions, how they handle, like, if only the women touch that stuff, men
I
would never
do
go
think
buy the
I
stuff.
do think that's the case. I really do think, and I think Amazon helps a lot, and,
Mm.
delivery services help a lot in that case, but, um, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like, for
That
instance,
would be
Disneyland.
that would be how does it work in,
Well, I was gonna say, like, at Disneyland, when you know one thing that I know is at Disneyland, Disney World, one day, I guess somebody, like, needed a sanitary napkin and they didn't have the money, the 25 cents, and they ripped the thing open. And then what they ended up doing, Disneyland and Disney World as a policy, they made them free. So anytime you go into Disneyland or Disney World, any bathrooms, all the tampons and all the pads are free. So that's something that you wouldn't think, but that's and it makes a difference.
it makes such a huge
Immunization.
difference. I don't even think people give it a second thought, but it makes such a huge difference for us. Even yeah.
I mean, I was on a
For
cruise ship and
sure.
I
I don't even it's not even about the girls who are going through it. Imagine the teachers.
yeah.
Imagine, any woman in a workplace going through that and not having access to menstrual products, or just clean
Well, that happened to me
bathroom.
on a cruise ship. So I was on a cruise and I didn't bring anything. Then I asked if they had any, and they didn't sell any anywhere. No gift shop, no nothing had it. So then I went to the guest services, and they were like, "Wow, that nobody's ever asked us that before." I'm like, "You have never had us request ever, really?" I find that hard to believe. And I was like, "Okay." And the only option was to go to the medic, like the actual official like
Medical
doctor.
clinic?
Yeah, like the actual like if you were to have like a norovirus, you would go to that like where they have the infirmary. I had to go down there to make an official request, and they charged me
What?
for like $3 a pad.
What?
Yeah. So they're like, okay, just buy as much as you need because we'll go into port and then you can get them like there for cheaper. And I'm like, okay. So then I had to go into port and then go into like a pharmacy and then negotiate, like, get stuff there. But in the meantime, I was like, okay, just get it. And it was like a whole hullabaloo. It's a big ship. Like 4,000
If
passengers on the ship.
I
I was like,
didn't
really?
know if I didn't know that blood in the water would attract sharks, I would probably just ski along the back of the cruise ship or something.
What a crazy thing to not have on hand when you have 4,000 people. That's just the passengers, not even the crew. You have 2,000 crew, 6,000 people on board. How do you not have, you see what I'm saying?
Didn't any of the crew members just carry like extra pads?
Yeah, but you should be able to buy them as a passenger. That's weird. That's weird. You don't think that's
Did
weird?
it have Dramamine?
Yes. But the fact that
I would
nobody's ever asked,
never.
I'm like,
I really don't get this concept. Anyway,
it's the invisible labor of women that have to we have to manage it. And so if you're in a business or a place that serves a
that is
public that's mostly male
you know,
dominated, they're not necessarily going to think
that is period poverty.
period poverty. Exactly. Period poverty. That is,
And
I had,
charging $3 per pad. Was the pad even good? Like, did you
I
fling
mean,
it?
I was, if I didn't have it, I could not have gone anywhere. Right. I've been stuck in my room because I couldn't have like gone. I can't go to the pool. Can't go. I can't go anywhere. If I don't have anything, it was going to be all through my clothes. I would have to stay in the cabin the whole time for my entire cruise because it just started. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Because I'm so bad about keeping track. I'm so used to not having a regular one for so long, 20 years. I've never had to really worry about it. And then being on a cruise ship, I'm not. That's a new thing in the last couple of years, being hardcore cruising.
Mm.
So when they converged, and then after that, it was like every time I sailed, that happened. It took me 3 times before I realized like you got to bring this stuff on board. Like you have to bring them on board no matter what.
It's so funny. I always carry extra period stuff. Even if I'm not expecting it, I just carry it with me because period underwear always makes for good traveling underwear.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think I I I can't remember like a single time when I've not lent out period stuff or menstrual products to women who are traveling with me.
I've
I
had
just always
two
carry it.
I just remember two instances where I literally bled through. One time on a set for a film, and I'm wearing their wardrobe, and and they go, background experts go, they come up, you've bled through those pants. I go, oh no, and it was like bad. And I try to give it back to the wardrobe, they don't want them, right? And then another time, and there's not obviously on set there wasn't any because it must have been I only had this many and I didn't have any more. And the set there was nowhere on set to ask. They don't have it on set. And then another time I'm at a wedding in Australia, my cousin's wedding, and at this venue I start my period. I'm in a gown. I'm like in a rental car. Nope, I didn't bring anything. I thought the venue would have it. Venue has nothing. So then I have to leave early because I bleed through the dress, have a coat on, wrap myself around. I go, we got to go. I'm so sorry. We have to leave early. I have nothing. And so I've been caught so many times. And I'm just surprised that the venues don't have them. Like, why don't these venues carry these things? I've been caught out so much that I just think like there's a disconnect of
Mhm.
understanding like how serious it is to leave somebody, like to not have something so simple that's like, there's so many women that at any given day
Yeah,
they could be on their period at your
yeah.
facility. How do you not have, and they're just like, well, the onus is on you. But it's like, but you also understand, like, I don't know what's gonna happen sometimes. Like,
No, but seriously, there I I don't understand why wouldn't you just turn to a next woman and ask her if she has
no, I
something
have. I
ready?
asked, no, I'm
But
going
you
around
have.
frantically asking everybody at the entire wedding. No, I'm so sorry. We don't have anything. No, I'm so sorry. No, I'm so sorry. Oh, I almost brought one, but I didn't.
Happy, I
You know,
think you have to be the person who carries it.
yeah, now I have them in my trunk all the time
You
because
just
I can't be out like that. It's horrifically just
it's embarrassing,
humiliating.
but then it's
Yeah.
yeah, 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 I can
Yeah.
see that happening.
Especially if you're like out with people and you've planned a
Mhm,
day. Oh,
mhm, and
brutal.
you have to cancel the plans.
Brutal. But then the thing is, like, I started just wearing period pants for a while, like period underwear, all the time as my underwear. There was a time where I just did that, just not worry about it. But it can get very uncomfortable. It's
Yeah,
not. They don't make them where it's like sleek. They're
yeah,
bunchy.
yeah,
You can get very. There's a lot of like. Just it just isn't. They haven't perfected it because people don't use it regularly enough to like make a better version to keep. Because even if you wear period underwear, you have to have spares in
yeah.
case, and then you might
I think
smell.
it's only like 5 pads, is the maximum that I've seen, but I don't think even the 5 pads one holds 5 pads of worth of blood. Um, I think there are definitely so what I have seen being done, and this is what I used to do on the field, was carry disposable underwear or postpartum underwear,
Mm.
because that used to be, underwear, but then, I mean, it looks gross, but then you're comfortable the whole time
But
because you
you
know
just
that you're wearing an underwear that's just disposable.
the other thing is making me realize that there's period underwear, disposable underwear, and there's disposable underwear for incontinence. And
And
if you have a federal savings account, did you know that if you buy incontinence underwear, it's fine. But if you
wow,
can't use your FSA
for
for
period
period
underwear.
underwear. So I would just buy incontinence underwear and use it as period underwear because I was like, I'm not going to pay for it. You see what I'm saying? But
Wilson.
there's so many people that the stigma. I tell people and they go, "No, I can't go in there and buy that. It's too embarrassing." I'm like, that's the weird.
What?
There's shame that you have to just learn to get rid of, like just shed little things like that. You see how like they're on. You were talking about like nations that are not as supported and the nations that are, and how still you have this thing.
Yeah, yeah. I was just looking up social impact brands of period underwear,
Mhm.
and almost all of them are B Corp. Um, there's Thinks, there's Modi Bodhi, there's Isle, there's Salt, there's Ruby Love. There's the Period Company and Nix.
Well, there's so many now. I remember when
There.
I had thought about it before, like trying to make it, and then things came out. I was like, oh, you beat me to it. I'm not gonna even bother trying. But I had thought about taking neoprene and putting it
Mhm.
because obviously neoprene.
Great market.
You're
You're
like,
giving
let's
away
talk about this
ideas.
off camera.
Let's talk about it. Of the number of ideas that just generate
So funny.
based on this. No, but also, I think it's great that there is a period at underwear actually exists in our day and age, but the sizing of it is so different across countries. I don't even know how women can buy. I mean, most of them go up to, I think, 2x, maximum 3x. I know one goes up to 6x. Um, but I don't think it's the same comfort levels,
Yeah.
or I might be wrong. And again, all of this is in developed countries which have access to clean water and hygiene.
Yeah, you know what'd be cool is like, Bombas socks, you know
Yeah,
that brand? You could
yeah.
do something like that where like if we could come up with a
Oh, I think
product
all of them do that.
and then we make one, you buy one, you give one,
Yeah, I think they
right?
all do that.
Because I
They all
I'm
do it
thinking
with
of
different geographical locations.
because what you're talking about, I think because I have a custom clothing background. To me,
Hmm.
it's like you can do a custom everybody if you know that this is your customer forever, then it's worth the cost of doing custom measurements. And now you have custom underwear that you like, and then you just order, and then we just make however many, not we, but whatever. Like we come up with a company, but like that, I could see that being done because you have AI now. You have them measure themselves, all the stuff you could put them into the system, and then make a whole bunch and just like manufacture that way. And then if you have the company that does that and you do a buy one, give one,
Hmm.
then we could have a direct pipeline to the places that you know of where you know that they need it and how to get it
Hmm.
there. Because logistically, I used to be in logistics too. And there's like certain things that I can figure out certain like logistical things too to get things there. I know somebody who has a friend that like literally owns a private jet company. So like they used for like you can use things like that if they want to get involved. You can transport like quicker, things like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So yeah, if we can get it's hard now because with the economy, people are so strapped down. It's hard to get investment for like these cool ideas unless you have people that are so above that they're not affected by it at all. If they're not affected by the tariffs, they're like, I can't worry about other people right now. You have to figure out who can still worry about because I know the nonprofits that I work with are strapped now. So I can feel like this has to be pretty rough. Things have to be going pretty rough in the economy for so many people. So then I can only
Either
imagine how hard it is.
either the economy is really bad or people are pretending that it's really bad and using that as an excuse to not fund ideas.
That could be too. Because I
I
think what's
because
happening
because I work in philanthropy and I know that, and this is a true fact. I think people are just riding the wave to see how some of the causes do without funds.
okay. Yeah, I think I had heard things like that, like, "We're holding back. We're
Yeah.
just holding back this year," or something like that.
Or
It
they
was like,
give,
"Oh,
they might be aligned with their mission and vision and for sure with the founder story and everything, but then I think a lot of people are waiting to see if the nonprofit will really just stick to their mission and follow the plan, or will they cut corners and not, or derail,
yeah,
or just wrap up and give up? Because I think a lot of it comes from founder strength, and if the founder is not strong enough, then yeah,
yeah,
then the philanthropy thing is off the table.
yeah."
So
I mean
it's almost like waging Shark Tank on nonprofits.
yeah. I mean, I think what we would need is, like I think that what's going on now creates a because the United States is not like the leader right now as much as they used to be, the UN gets to be, the international community gets to like have a bigger stage right now. And it's very interesting because then that to me opens up more help for developing nations better. Because in a way, for us, for our diplomacy, the US is kind of screwing up because we don't want people to know that they can do stuff without us better. Now we're opening that up. That's pretty stupid because if we're like, oh, we don't need you, why would we even deal with you? So I think that they opened up a situation that it will be very hard to recover from if everybody seems to realize like it's so much easier without us,
Kathy, this white knight syndrome can't go on forever.
right? I mean, you're right.
It's
You're
a
right.
shining knight syndrome, and it cannot go on forever. And to be honest, I think a lot of things that have been done in the developing world have come at a cost to the countries that have been donating adversely,
Hmm.
at an adverse cost to them. It's not like, we talk so much about developing countries, but to be honest, I think the United States itself, or even the UK, or even Germany, Australia, all of us, right? We are all facing a crisis in our national chambers where we are really going through the hoops with what development needs to look like and why we're not at par and why people are still struggling while they're in our country and why are we generating this much amount of wealth to help out someone in need in a different country when we should be helping ours first. So when the whole thing of self sufficiency comes in, it makes no sense in giving away aid or foreign aid to other countries. Again, this goes back to my point. What would the country do if they didn't get the aid? Would the government then step in and provide the aid? Or if they were capable of providing it, then why didn't they do it so long?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's our
And why
model is
did
we
they
just
not?
rely on private
Yeah,
help. We're
yeah.
waiting for
And why did they not
charities.
prioritize it? Yeah, and
We're,
and who knows, maybe that might be an instigating factor for like someone in the private sector in some of those countries to come up and step up and do something innovative that actually addresses the cause, rather than just having foreign aid being pumped in. So there are two sides of the coin, and I agree with your point, but then I also think that US at this point um, has priorities
mhm.
that
I
needs to
mean,
be
so
addressed.
action or like call to action solution, what do you think is like, what do you think we need to do? What can we do? What would be
With
like,
periods,
with like trying to get access, trying to help either expand for not just, or you, would you say that the most important thing first is to try to get, or is it two prong? Like you're helping develop nations at the same time, but you have to educate, like just the patriarchy and the
address the
females that
patriarchy. You know what? I think the patriarchy gets too much of relevance in everything that we talk about. And to be honest, I think we have enough women in the workforce to create this change without even addressing patriarchy.
like,
This
do you
is
think we just have to have like a training in every office space where you like talk
No, I
about
think we
periods?
should just have free menstrual products in every office, every college, every dorm, every school, and every bathroom in the country, or across the world, to be honest. I don't even know why that's an issue. Because
Do you think that there would be
if you're
backlash if we put
making,
products in the men's room? Do you think they'd be pissed and they go, "We're not standing for this,"
I mean, would
and
you
then
put
that would be for the
condoms in the
pushback?
men's room?
I would put. Why wouldn't I put condoms in a women's room?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a great. Then we say, like, we also think you should put condoms in there. That's the thing. You need a two prong. We just figured it out. In order to get this to work, you have to
Yeah.
also combine it with condoms. Just say free condoms and free menstrual products, and both go in both bathrooms because
Yeah,
women need to grab condoms
because it's
and men
all
might need to grab a
deserved.
pad for their freaking wife or whatever that's at home, and you just have remember whatever or their daughter or whatever, just to have it. Like one day,
Yeah.
oh, that's helpful, and it's just there, and it's not really gender specific. It's just, oh, everybody has somebody that might need this, whether it's you or someone else, but if somebody's outside waiting and you need this or whatever, but at least there's the
The
equity part
access should be there. The-
where there's the balance of saying, well,
Yeah.
we're giving this, but we're also giving this for you are also getting something,
It's
what
gender
about mine?
equity. It's gender equity in action,
But
right?
having to sort of like
But
strategically get around this, like,
I think if
and you're
we
like,
just
okay, you
have
get condoms.
if even if you don't have it for free, we should have access to it. And I think that's the general rule. You remember how we used to go bathroom to bathroom searching for diaper changing stations?
Yeah,
And then they finally put it in all the women's bathrooms, and then they started putting it in the men's bathrooms.
yeah.
Yeah, it
That was
should be like
Ashton
that.
Kutcher, I believe, that
Yeah.
got them in the men's bathrooms.
Yeah.
And I remember in New York, I'd have to like try to also map out where they were so I would know where to go.
Yeah.
That and the elevators. Which
Google
elevators
actually
worked in
did
the
that.
city so I could take a stroller. I was
Mhm.
like all over the place trying to figure this stuff out and then
Mhm.
realize how hard it is to be a mother.
To
So hard. People have no idea like what you have to physically
physically do.
carry. You're weak. You're physically weak. You got to
Yeah.
physically get stronger for this like little baby, and then you have people bumping you all the time, and then
Uh,
just
parents, and I say this with all respect, parents are the biggest advocates for and the biggest warriors for their kids. I think something in us comes out much more fiercely when it
I,
affects our kids than
I
us.
think there's also this culture, right? Like where people that are childless have this entitlement where they think they can tell people with children what's what
Yeah.
in terms of like feeding or like, oh, this is so hard when parents complain or vent and then like childless people are like, well, you chose this. I'm like, yo, chill. So what if I chose? I can still
Mm.
talk about it. Like, why are you tripping? Bill Maher is a perfect example of that. I see him all the time. You chose this to have kids. Like, I'm like, why are you such a hateful person? Like, we can still discuss it. You're a comedian. Don't you understand when people discuss shit that's funny? Sometimes it's funny that you're stressed out by your child and you're venting and it's sharing a shared communication of experience, which is hilarious. As a comedian, you should understand that. But sometimes there's this cool brand that hating on kids is funny in America. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
That
do
coupled with the
understand what you're saying.
period like fears or whatever,
Yeah.
it creates a place where it's like cool to be like a bully and try to like because you're so like, "Ugh,
You're
that's your
above
life.
it
It's not
all.
my issue."
You're above
Instead
it
of
all.
having a,
But I've seen it
maybe we can
happen the
be.
other way too.
What
I've
do you
seen
mean?
it happen the other way too, where someone who respectfully does not want to have a child, is sitting with parents who all have children, and then they continuously get asked why
Oh
their
yeah,
lifestyle choice is a lifestyle choice,
yeah,
and then they're made to feel guilty about it. So I've seen
yeah,
both sides of that coin, and
totally.
to be honest, I don't like either. I mean, I really don't like bullies. I don't like pressure in social situations. I don't like awkward conversations. When someone says or states their lifestyle choice, you just respect it and
Yeah,
move on.
yeah,
You do not get to question that choice.
yeah. It's just
Unless you
really,
really don't understand it and you're coming up at it like from a give me more information. I
yeah.
want to this.
It's all about tact now, I think. People say it's about intention, but I think it's also about tact.
Yes.
Because if you have a on like when I'm discussing politics online with people, I always try to have to figure out, is this person sincerely asking me this question? Am I spending time with this person or am I wasting time with this person
Mhm.
as opposed to like they're just having fun making it difficult? That's not the same thing as somebody who's like actually asking questions that cares.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's nuance now where we used to always just think, okay, if you're the bigger person, you have to engage in every. Now I'm like, no, no, no. And you don't have to always be professional about like, if I know somebody's bantering in a way that's clearly not in good faith, then I
Mhm.
switch into a different mode and I'm like in like a different
Mhm.
sort of like mindset. But I think there's definitely a nuance now that I think when people were talking about being woke, maybe they just didn't like the feeling of feeling bad and that's why they got so mad. And now this is this overcorrection to not have to feel bad about what you're saying. But it's like so weird now when you see how much uneducated behavior in professional positions right now is like so prevalent, even down to like first I just was seeing like,
That
typos,
was
but
just
now
a
you see,
joke.
yeah, but now you see how it's in like official capacity,
Mhm.
right? You and
Mhm.
you're like, and then when you're talking about, it's the same mentality. If we had an understanding that like everybody looked at Menses and it was like a empathetic view, and then also looking at children from an empathetic view, that would then everything would then click into place better as a society. I don't think we would have these issues that we're having if we had already handled our society and made them more like made all of this that we're talking about totally normal, not a
Mhm.
big deal.
Mhm.
Then I think there would be immediately less toxic masculinity simply because it's so prevalent. Everybody just understands these things. They're not just our responsibility. It's like our responsibility to make men feel less lonely, but it's not their responsibility to know that we have periods and that they should put the stuff in the freaking bathrooms. Like,
I think, okay, I'm gonna end this with, "Are we the only ones?" Yeah,
yeah,
because I just got something. Are we the only
okay,
ones that think menstrual health is one of the solutions to global health problems?
I'm gonna
Because
land on that with you. That's
it
perfect.
gender equity in action, putting
Mhm.
menstrual products in all bathrooms or and all public spaces,
All public spaces.
um, reusable products. By choosing reusable products, we're choosing climate justice.
Yes,
By choosing education justice, which means supporting young women when they have their periods, so that they don't have to miss school or have to choose between different co-curricular activities. That is education justice. And then there's the whole basic dignity of just living life safely, not with shame, and having um, or celebrating who you are in a private space, but without the shame that goes with it.
yeah, I think that's totally right. Because I think it's like, I would add like, are we the only ones that think that it's a community effort? Like
Yeah,
making sure that men sees education and understanding it's a community effort, and by doing so, all it will do is add positivity into the community. There is no
yeah.
negatives to
There
doing
is
this
no
education
negatives in yeah, there is no
at all,
negatives in supporting menstrual health. Like I
and
don't
educating
understand
men
why.
and
I don't
making them feel
understand
comfortable.
what the problem is. I don't
It's
really
just
understand what the problem is.
I think it was set at a place where it was a problem, and then we've left it there and we've forgotten to like sort of redefine it. And maybe
Mhm,
we're redefining it now because I know people are not talking about periods on. I'm telling you to the depth that we're talking about and like understand nobody's doing that. And it's a conversation like because it's not a normal conversation that's like everybody's talking about some of the same things all the time. This is something that people probably haven't thought about. Um, and it'll be something that'll create conversation if not for your own if you're a father you're going to be like thinking about for your daughters like oh yeah like that's now you care more it there was one have you seen that real if I can find it where like women are asking it's like a trend like a challenge like a TikTok challenge or whatever where women ask their husbands to go get them pads with wings and every single husband gets the pads but they also bring home buffalo wings every single one 100% of them. And they're like, yeah, you said pads with wings. I brought you wings. She goes, no, I just needed pads with wings. Why did you get me chicken wings? She goes, because you asked for pads with wings. So you pads. And they all go, first the men are like, here's the pads, here's the wings. And she's like, no, I wanted pads with wings. He goes, yes, here's the pads with the wings. And not realizing, no, she wants the wings of the sanitary napkin so they can wrap around the underwear so that they can protect her underwear. But it was
God,
the funniest thing.
do you remember using pads without wings? I
Yeah, I still
remember,
do sometimes.
it was I don't have a thigh gap. I never have had a thigh gap, and that is the worst nightmare of your life.
That's
I'm
hilarious.
just gonna
Men are like,
no,
what?
it's just blatant honesty.
No,
It
it's true. Men have no idea. But this is the thing, like, it's funny to have a conversation about. There's nothing wrong with it. And if we can actually turn it into like a product that we can actually recycle into making something
Yeah.
even more out of
Okay,
it,
I'm going to end with this
how can
note
you
because
argue?
I know we're going to be talking about this on our next episode. Have you
Okay.
spoken about periods to your kids? We both have
My
sons.
yeah.
We both have
So
sons.
let me
Have
tell
you
you my
spoken?
horror story. Oh, they're quite
No, no,
aware
no, no, no,
because
no, no. We'll keep the horror story till next week. But
okay, I had to because when I take my kids into the Disneyland bathroom and I know that there's the free one there and it's gonna take me a little time, I'm the only parent. I don't want to like I'm overprotective. I don't want them just standing there by themselves outside. So I have to bring them in with me. So they have to, I'm like, face the wall, but they know. And sometimes they turn and go, Mommy, why are you bleeding? What is all that blood? So then I have to tell them, oh, mommies have a monthly visitor and it's a period. This is how we make babies, or we have eggs. And then I go through the whole thing. Like, okay. So that's why they're aware. But the horror story that I'll do for next time,
yeah,
um, yeah, it was like they're aware of me having a period, but not aware necessarily of like, wait until I'm done before you open the door to the public
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
vibes.
No, I
And
had
that's
that conversation with my sons for sure because I had to tell them why I wasn't making them waffles for breakfast. Um,
they're like, you lazy.
well, you never know. I just wanted to be honest to them, and I said, "Mom, I really can't. I am having, stomach cramps today. I'm not feeling too good. I had my periods, and then I had to explain the whole thing of periods, and then my son's face grew from wide eyes to wide open jaw drop mouth, and then they looked at the dad and they said, "Why can't you make more babies so that she doesn't have to get periods?" And I said, "No, this is better."
You're like, that's your
I
solution?
think we're done
That's
with
funny.
babies. I think we're done with babies.
That's hilarious. You're like, that's actually not the way that we would actually solve that problem. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm looking
No,
forward. I gotta read up on menopause.
my actual response to my son at that point was, "What if, I don't mind babies, but then, what if we I mean, who's gonna look after the baby girl or the baby boy that comes in? Like, will you play with her and will you have tea parties with her and will you be playing soccer ball with him and things like that?" And my son, who was 10 years old, looked up at me and he said, "I think I can take care of a baby." And my younger son, who would then be the middle one, just said, "I am not prepared to be a middle child." Just so you know, I prefer to be the last one and the
That's
youngest
hilarious.
one in this family. And he made us proud. He's quite clear, and I said,
And
"That's
like,
that's how we're going to end that." But yeah, all right,
he's like, I'm
Kathy.
putting the kibosh on this. That's what he
Yeah,
said. No
yeah.
more. The oven is
I'm
closed.
the period and point.
End of story.
That's right.
All
All
right,
right.
well, awesome. Then I guess we can wrap this up. I mean, I feel like we landed on a good "Are we the only ones?" question. That's perfect. I think
Yeah,
actually we're correct. To be honest, I think that
I think
is
it should be.
that would be actually solving a lot of problems. And I hope that there'll be other people out like, you know, out there. If you guys know anybody that is interested in period health
Sustainable products.
and wants to connect because we can make these things happen. We can save the world one period at a time. I think
Mhm,
that would be a great way to start because it really does create a sort of like a more of an understanding, empathetic world, like what people have to go through and like what
mhm.
reproductive health is and like what making babies is and how important it is for us to protect women and their health and provide access because it is literally how we create future humanity. So
I mean, honestly,
get on board,
um,
people.
frameworks that work within an empathetic lens focused on menstrual health.
Is there anything that you would like to put out as any parting words?
Take care. Keep
All right.
sharing. Keep caring. Love you.
And then we'll be back again with more conversations and my horror story of my period horror story at Disneyland. And
And how we choose to raise empathetic boys.
then we're going to talk about mental health too, right,
Yeah.
in future episodes. So that would be great. And if
Yep.
anybody wants us to expound on any other topics, because obviously now we have like esteemed doctor that's an expert, so we can actually ask like really legitimate, cool questions and get great insight. Please send email, DM, whatever, let us know, and then we'll pose it on the next episodes and we'll talk about it. So thanks for coming along and following us. And until next time,
Bye,
bye.
Kathy.